G'day everyone and welcome to the Inside NBA show, The Pickup. I am one of your two hosts, one of two Mattys. Matty G and Malley is joining me right up after this. We're going to look at some sell highs, some buy low options for you, but also some streaming targets, waiver guys, and flavors of the month to help you win your week 5 and a deeper look ahead. It's coming up at you right after this.
You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
The man, the legend, the mustache, Matty Malley. How are you, mate?
Excellent, mate. How are you?
I cannot complain. I'm flying high. I've got some guys coming back from injury, which is nice for my fantasy week. You know, when you hold those guys, Trey Murphy, you see the number get down. He's coming back in about a week or so. You just see those numbers getting smaller. You see them getting smaller. And I like that for my journey. What about you, mate? How's your week starting?
Very well. Yeah. A bit the same as you. Got some lads who are starting to come into form, maybe rather than coming back from injury. They're just starting to warm up, like Şengün. Like, he's been amazing. Like, I feel terrible because I traded for him at the very start of the season for Walker Kessler to a guy, and now I feel like a dog because I'm like, oh no, like that trade, like this is day one. And now looking at it now, I'm just, I mean, I feel good from a fantasy perspective, but as a bloke, I feel like a dog.
Mate, I'm not going to lie. I saw him I'd already had my center spilled up in a couple of leagues, and I got Kessler before Şengün in a couple, which now in hindsight, just you feel like an absolute dog. You feel like an absolute bloody donkey. Not even a donkey, just like shit, to be fair, knowing that guy was going to be such a stud and come back, and Kessler was going to start off as low as he did and then be out with the UCL injury. But that does bring us to someone, and not just one person, many people. I would like to talk about you to some saucy gentlemen.
I broke up with my ex-girl.
That wasn't the right one. This is it.
It's fun.
Barbecue.
Yes, barbecue. It's more that one than breaking up with your ex-girl, because we're talking about flavors of the month, and I just hit me. Like, who's the flavor of the month in fantasy wise? Like, who are guys that people are just like, oh, I love this guy now? And one of my guys was Şengün. Şengün is now a flavor of the month, and it is a month into our fantasy season. Basically, he is now the flavor of the month. When the big concern before the beginning of the season was he won't be able to play defense. They're not going to play through him. Emi Udoka didn't like the bloke. Mate, you're high on Şengün now.
Yeah. I mean, I've got him and Sabonis in a league, and sometimes I open up and I don't know who I'm looking at until I shuffle along and look at the names. But like, they're doing basically the same stuff. Neither of them can hit a free throw, and they're both getting to the line more often than they should. But rebounds look good, assists look good. Like, he's not quite Sabonis, but he's not a long way off. He looks great, and I mean, when you watch him, like, the eye test shows that they just look for him straight away. Like, they get the ball over half court, and they're like, all right, how do we get the ball to Şengün? And
I think the interesting thing for me was in that last 20 seconds in the Lakers game when AD went off. It was like, just where's Alpi? Where's Alpi? Who's on Alpi? Oh, he's got Rui. Pfft, easy. And they got him straight down to get that time bucket underneath the rim on Rui, I will say Rui is a decent defender of the big man. Like, he's not the biggest lad, but he's solid. He's got great footwork and he can defend well. So for me, just seeing him do that was like, Şengün is my guy. Who's a flavor of the month for you? Who's a guy who you're like, barbecue?
Another guy might be. Oh, I had someone on the tip of my tongue before. How's our young guard? You go first. I got one, but you go. We'll share Şengün, but you tell me yours.
It flirts on the whole sell high thing. So I'm going to say one of my guys on the sell high train because I just think it's more sustainable. I'm probably of the opinion. I don't know if it's a flavor of the month thing or not. But I really think that there's been some Giannis. It's a flavor of the month to diss Giannis lately a little bit, I think. And I think he's starting to put together, and I think it's like the anti-flavor of the month. I just think there's some work on Giannis where everyone's like, oh, it's Giannis. And I know he's not returning the first like top 5 value that he has for a long time. Like, let's just be 100% fair. He's not giving us that. But he has started to string together some really good numbers lately. And numbers that I like a lot, like 42 points, 40-point games for him, 15 rebounds, 13 rebounds. Now, the free throws are atrocious. Like, the free throws are in the dog hand. But did you draft Giannis for that? And the answer is no. But did you need him? No. But did you want him to be more efficient from the field this year? And the answer is 100% you did, because he wasn't that great from the field last year. But right now he's over 600. And last year he was 550. So he's jumped 0.6%, a big jump. And look, I just think it's been a flavor of the month to hate on Giannis and not to give him flowers, but he's stringing together some really good quality games. So I definitely think that I think there's someone who might cash on him stupidly if he goes back down to some 16 and 20-point games. I think there might be someone. I'm not saying buy a low, but if you're tanking free throw percentage and you haven't got Giannis and you got someone else and you've just I think it might be a guy to change tack to, mate. Who's your guy? Who's your young fella?
I think, just on Giannis, like, I don't think, I personally didn't see the scoring numbers at this height, these 30, 40 and his 50-point game. With Lillard there, I thought he would take a back seat. I thought his defensive numbers would come back like they were 2 years ago, and that he'd be like a 20-point guy. I still thought he'd be an offensive threat, but he's really the guy, Lillard obviously still does what he does, but maybe not to the point that we thought. But my guy is, and we had a little chat to him before we went live, and that's Keontae George. I like watching him, and you can see the improvement, for going to, was it triple overtime the other day with him staying out there can we not mention that game?
I lost a league 5-4 on that final stupid overtime game because Lowry missed a shot. And I missed on one shot and field goal percentage. I was up until...
And he did so much other than that. So it sucks.
It sucks, man. But yeah, man, you love it. Like, we were just talking about that off. You like the ceiling. Like, we talked about a trade that's in one of the leagues I'm in. And some guys got a couple of dudes and Keontae is involved. And it's 2 guards for 2 guards. And we talked about one of the 2 guards involved on one side was Derek White and one is Keontae George. Then there's 2 other players involved. I think one of those, it's like a bit of a Knicks trade. Like, I think it's like you could Knicks 2 of those guys off, because the really good comparison we were talking about is like, you've got Derek White and you've got Keontae George. There's a really high floor for Derek White, but you know what your ceiling is? But the ceiling for Keontae, mate, you expect big things for him down the track.
Yeah. I just think he's a great fit there. They're obviously going to him over their other guards. Sexton's taken a back seat. He looks fit too. Like, that dude is strong looking. He looks like a small Dwight Howard, like a Dwight Howard you can like put in your bum bag or something like that. I don't want to say Dwight Howard and bum in the same sentence again during this podcast.
You just did. Yep.
Yeah, that's twice. Yeah. So I don't know what that's going to do for our streaming revenue, but who knows? But yeah, like,
I just wonder if there's anybody out there right now Googling Dwight Howard bum, and this is like the last thing that's going to be hit on that one and pulled in. But
we'll get.
You were saying
followers, however. Yeah,
but you were saying he is definitely one of your flavors of the month. Any other flavor of the month that's sticking around for you right now?
I mean, I've been impressed as well with Bane. I think even through Triple J's ups and downs that he's had recently, seems to be coming back a bit. And, the team falling away around them with Smart getting his injury and Tillman obviously, not being able to get back on the court, and clearly they're missing Jar. But I just think that guy, like, he just goes out and plays like he still wants to win every game. And I know that's looking at him through an NBA kind of lens, but even though he's been carrying that huge offensive load, his numbers have still stayed really strong. He's still that, 500, 800, whatever he is, 450 or whatever he is from his threes. Like, he's just strong as a shooter. And, he's been able to do it while obviously the other team are watching him. They're pressuring him, and they know that he's going to be the guy to do the scoring, and he's just still chipped away. Like, I got to give respect to him. He's looking hot at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. And talking about hot guys, we want to talk about some streaming options. Let's not just do the game preview. I liked last week that we just chatted like best options for it because we've got another just stupidly fucked week again. So let's talk about this.
He's heating up.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is not an Australian holiday, so we can't understand why there's no basketball on Thursday. And we really want to do that, which actually means is we've got a really crappy week, Matty. We've got 5 games tomorrow or today, whenever you're listening on the Tuesday, followed by 14 games on Wednesday. So it's a 0 stream option. Like your rosters are full right now. You're not going to be able to pull in a guy. You can't pull in a guy then for Thursday, obviously, because there's no games. Friday's got 10 games, so massive slate. You're probably likely full to the brim, but Saturday has 6, Malley. So I'm going to throw some names at you for the 5 teams that play on the Tuesday and the Saturday, because for me, those are probably the guys that make the most sense to stream in for the week. You've got the Sixers and the Cavs and the Hawks over in the East, and in the West, you've got the Lakers and the Jazz. And you touched on Keontae George. He's obviously a hot pickup in this situation. One of my other guys, and I talked about a flavor of the month, is Bogdan Bogdanovic, who I think has been absolutely sensational. And he is available in 69% of Yahoo leagues. And I think he has been an absolute smoke show lately. The steals, the 3 assists a game, the 3 threes, the high free throw percentage, the threes, the points. I think if he is available, I'm just going to go out there in advance and say, if you can bring him into your team, that's a guy that you want to have a look at straight away. Of those teams, Malley, who do you reckon are your stream? These guys, the
targets acquired.
Yeah, maybe not so much for the quality games that they're going to play, but a couple of guys that I want to keep my eye on for at least till the end of this week and go from there would be Cole Anthony. He's another guy a little bit like your mate Bogdan.
He's been really impressive this season.
Yeah. And, he plays well in his 6-man role. Even though Fultz is out, he hasn't really stepped up in minutes, but he's just a consistent guy. He's getting 15 points. He's getting a handful of rebounds and a handful of assists. I think, he's a guy that I'd want to watch. Another guy is, and I see that they've just must have thrown him onto ESPN because he's down as an acquisition on waiver wires now, is Craig Porter. He went nuts in his last game. Cleveland are in woes with their guards at the moment. Mitchell's still out. Levert's questionable for tomorrow. Okoro's out. Ty Jerome's out. He's going to get the lion's share again. And we know that he can. He's going to be a name that in a week's time, he just drifts back into oblivion, maybe a little bit like Skylar Mays. But for right now, he's a guy everyone should be thinking about picking up. And I think for tomorrow's run of things, he'll get a game and he'll get a position in your starting lineup. But outside of that, he might. But the level of fantasy goodness that he's going to bring tomorrow, I think definitely is worth using one of your waivers on. The last 2 guys, Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen. Beal's back is a complete mess. So maybe unlike Porter and Cole, I think is a bit of a long-term pick up because you know what he's going to do. Craig Porter is a hot name that's going to, as I said, disappear. But Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen, with Beal out, they're going to continue to do what they have done for the last 3 weeks. So they're my guys.
I'm starting to hear more reports on that as well, that Gordon was the acquisition they wanted to make as Bradley Beal insurance. So he was there for them as that Brad Beal insurance. And that's also partly what Grayson Allen was involved in. And it's paying off. It's really paying off for them. And I think it's been, we touched on this one, that Keontae George is one of the other guys with the Jazz as well. We touched on him being, now I'm going to actually just do this one because he's been starting. Keontae George has been, obviously, as we said, one of those hot pickup flavor of the month, but he's still only rostered in 44% of Yahoo leagues. So he is definitely a stream target, especially for assists. Just the assists that you can get off him are incredible. Field goal percentage, don't expect much. There is teething problems with Keontae. He is a rookie, and it might not improve. So just bear yourself for that one. But the other assists that he can give you and some steals, and the free throw percentage. Look, he buoys you in other ways, and that's what you like. Like THT, the other game, he lit up. So he became like, oh, THT is back, and it takes away the shine of what Keontae's doing. But Keontae is still expected to be the starter this week, so he's definitely the guy that I'm looking at there. Talon Horton-Tucker to some extent, Kelly Olynyk. Sixers, I'd probably be saying Paul Reed and Batum would be the guys there. And for the Lakers, look, pick your big tall guy, Cam Reddish, Rui Hachimura. One of those guys would probably be the main Lakers for me. And I guess back to the guys over in Atlanta, there's only 3 guys who are really doing the minutes there, and I'd be saying that is Bogdan Bogdanovic is available in your league, DeAndre Hunter, but our mate Sadiq Bay boy.
Yep. The Blades.
The Blades. Mate, you mentioned this off there. I want to
That's a push.
That's a Beyblades. Mate, you mentioned off this off there. You got to think about owning one particular guy in too many leagues. Talk us through that for a second. It was a good chat that I liked, and I want people to hear. I want people to hear what we talk about off air as well.
Yeah. There was a bit of validity to that. For others to hear, I was talking about the fact that in 2 of my leagues, I had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who had been playing phenomenally. I think besides the fact that he's not getting to the line as much as he did last year, he's been strong as an ox. And I don't mind across my leagues if I have double ups, triple ups of guys, but I always have this this notion that I don't want my best guy in 2 of my leagues to be the same guy, because if he goes down, it kind of hits you hard in your fantasy soul. As 2 of your leagues you kind of bottom off on. So I made a trade for Damian Lillard, which I have regretted since. Obviously,
Him as well, though. I know you got Dame and someone else in that trade. It wasn't just Damon.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but no, it wasn't a straight trade. I got someone else to the value of, and then I went from that, and then he just didn't fit the bill that I had, but I got myself out of that position of not having that double up of the player, and then moved to a trade later. I've just had to completely restructure my team because I'm now in a position where my team is really a defensive team, where I'm rebounds, I'm steals, I'm blocks, all the things that Lillard isn't. And it just kind of goes to show a little bit, one, don't trade yourself to death. I am somebody who's gone and done that. But I guess in another team, another league, I've traded wildly, and I think I've put myself in a really strong position. Whereas I said before, I have Sabonis, I have Şengün, I have this strong lineup, and there I think my a couple of options down just from having a trade up. But yes, I'm in the position now in my other league, my Lillardless league, where I've had to really change course. I've had to get out my little compass and look at the stars and realign my course. But a cautionary tale for listeners.
Yeah, I think it's timely because I realized we're talking about Donovan Mitchell being out again, how narrow I was in losing a league by 10 points last week, and I didn't have Donovan Mitchell for the last 2 games. And I've got Donovan Mitchell in 4 leagues because I was like, he was the one guy I didn't talk about in the preseason like a lot because I just wanted to hold one guy personally that I wanted to go out of my way to make sure that I got, and no one that listens and we're mates with. Donovan Mitchell was my guy this year. Like Donovan Mitchell was my 2nd round target that I was like, I must get Donovan Mitchell because I think he could flirt with 1st round value. And if I can get him mid to late 2nd, which was where I was pretty much drafting, or at the I think I passed on him at 12. I think I took him at like 15. I think it was the earliest that I took him. I was like, if I can get him there, I'm happy. Or if I can get him at 20 or 23, 20, I'll be happy. And I did. And I got him in 4 leagues. I just realized I'm a Donovan Mitchell owner in 4 leagues. And that really hurts. But talking about that, we're talking about guys who are hot. You mentioned Craig Porter Jr. is a hot one. So let's talk about hot guys, not just who's burning up right now, but who are our sell high targets. Let's get to it.
Pull over by this hot guy and let me out.
Ooh. Matty, drop me with your guys, because I know you have some absolutely tasty ones.
Well, one thing I want to say before it skips my mind, which things tend to do, is another little funny thing that's come out of this conversation about Keontae George is I think, again, it's hard to compare him to Scoot at the moment because Scoot's been injured. But isn't it funny that, like, the big name of Scoot, being one of this top 3 draft pick guy, his game hasn't got off to the best starts, and sometimes that's kind of guards are a little slow to warm up. But we're 4 weeks in, and we're talking about Keontae George, who for a lot of people would have flown completely under their radar, and he's just doing great things. And I think now, I think Scoot's going to have the better NBA career. But for this year and right now, Keontae George is looking so strong. But just wanted to put that out there because I thought that was an interesting piece.
I think
My
you're spot on.
first sell high guy, yeah. My first sell high guy is Chris Paul. I've said here that he's going to play the rest of the week. You got a little sound drop? You feel like you're in sound drop, JP. There we go. Thank you. I did pause for it. I saw you reaching.
I was actually bringing up the stats on CP.
Yeah, he's going to play for the rest of the week without Dre. So the window is going to shut pretty quickly. There'll be people who are fairly wise to what's going on, but I think it's no harm in trying it on. And even if you can get someone who sits slightly ahead of him in value, or use Chris Paul as your sway guy in a trade, if you have a bigger picture kind of trade for some higher guys like a Donovan Mitchell, and you need like an offset guy like a Chris Paul who's hot at the moment, that's where it might work in. His stats have been amazing over the last 2 games when he's been back in the starting lineup, but we know that when Draymond comes back, he's going to be pushed back into that bench role. He was trash bags coming off the bench up until Draymond tried to chokehold Gobert, 2 people who I really don't like. So it was it was like watching a fight, like a boxing match where you don't like either guy. So every time they get hit, you're like, oh yeah, like I'm all right with this. But yeah, Chris Paul, sell high if you can get it. It might be a hard one to pull off, not for the faint-hearted. You might cop a bit of shit on your chats when you go for it. Some people might call you out, but you never know.
I'll hit you up with another one of these guys. I was thinking Malik Beasley right now is on a little bit of a tear, and there's always people who get just extra tasty for points and threes. People go hunting for these ones, even though they're readily available in the wire, and come playoff time of the year, people go for Malik Beasley. And hats off to Matrix from Inside Podcast Network. He was like, I think the sleeper in Milwaukee. I think one of my sleepers for the season, one of my sleepers, the guys that no one knows, is Malik Beasley. And we did that. We workshopped it on the pod when we did the Bucks preview. And we started to have a look at the minutes for the guy. And that was before Damian Lillard ended up in town. But I look at his minutes that he's been playing, and he's been over 30 minutes a game for the past 4 or 5 games. There was the low minutes in the 20s and 21s, but he's hit 30 points, 20 points. There was the 7, the 16, but the 3, the 6, the 8 3-point game. The rebounds are there. Now the assists are down, but here's a guy as well who can probably milk something out of, but he's probably returning top 6 or 7 or 8 round value right now, but he's a stream guy. So if there's someone out there, and so this is where you capitalize on your waiver guys. So if there's a guy that you want in a league and you could probably get 6th or 7th or 8th round value consistently out of, not just a stream guy, this is where I think Malik Beasley could be used, especially if there's a few green guys around there. They might be really interested by that. Oh, he had a 30-point game. If he hits another one this week where there's like a 26, 27-point game and he has like 6 or 7 threes, 3 or 4 rebounds, and that's just there. You look at the last few games, that person could be absolutely tantalized by the efficiency as well, because that's what the outlier is for me. Field goal efficiency has been 500. There was a 300, 333. So that was like, oh, that was just his shit game. Oh, he just didn't have it going. Because the next one's 583, 786, and 500. And then he had a 20-minute game where you don't look at the 0 points and shooting like shit kind of thing. But, you could be like, oh, yeah, but he was hot. But these are 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 500 games of his last 5. So people will look at those 5 games. But Malik Beasley, for me, is like, sell high on him for someone looking for points and threes in your league and get back a solid piece in a role player. So, yeah, Malik Beasley, sell high.
You might have to get your Bob Ross paint set out and, like, get your little easel and paint a bit of a story, paint a beautiful kind of a cityscape or something to kind of get yourself over the line. But if you were going to try and be a man of the golden tongue, you could probably talk about the fact that Chris Middleton's minutes just aren't ramping up. Like that dude just is like handicapped to the nth degree. So if you can, spin a bit of a yarn around the fact that like Chris Middleton's definitely not coming back, like there's some security in his role. He's going to keep doing it. He's a guy on the team that's going to get left on the perimeter because people are too worried about Giannis, are too worried about Lillard. Like they're looking for him to make those shots. I think he could probably do that. His biggest handicap overall in comparison to Chris Paul is his name is Malik Beasley and not Chris Paul. Like the people who are probably going to bite when you're like, sink one of these into the old lake is the fact that Chris Paul's a household name. Like they go, Chris Paul, he's a good guy, and he plays for a team that everybody who doesn't know much about basketball seems to attach themselves to, the biggest bandwagoning team out, Golden State Warriors. So
let me roll another one out there because it's pretty much the same guy in a different jersey. If I was to ask you who's a points and threes guy who's been picked up off the waiver wire and people who are riding high right now, and it's in one of these popular teams like the Bucks or another Eastern Conference team who's playing a role right now, who would be the guy that you would think that I'm talking about?
Well, I don't know about playing a role, but it wouldn't happen to be a 76ers guard, would it? That was my first. No. It's not a DeAnthony Melton. All right.
No, please. DeAnthony Melton is more than right. He's a beautiful, beautiful man.
Yeah, that's what threw me. I thought it was him till then.
Yeah, he's a beautiful man. Let's talk about. I love to have a beer with him.
Duncan Robinson,
I think, is absolutely a sell high guy right now. People have his role is he's here for a short time, we're here for a short, good time, not a long time. Tyler Herro is on his way back, but he has been absolutely phenomenal. He has been absolutely hot nights. He has been the whole entire time, but move off Duncan Robinson. He is not long for returning this value for you. Get someone who's probably just like, he can still keep this up. The Heat needs scorers, or he'll be the sixth man off the bench. You'll be able to trade it out now. He's been playing at a top, top 75 value lately. And these are guys who are currently giving in that, and you want to be able to get something back for that. Look for points and threes, but the rebounds are there. This has been some steals, the assist, everything. It's been a total package with Duncan Robinson.
Who knew he could do that?
It's been, mate. The guy can do stuff on a basketball court. Go figure. He gets paid to play professional basketball, and he's playing at a very professional capacity. Good job, Duncan. But sell high on Duncan. Who is your second one, mate?
Yeah, and I just think with the thing with Duncan too is you're probably not going to on its own, get a good trade across the line. But if you're doing a trade and you're trying to you've got that person right on the edge and but can you give me anything else? Like, look, I'll do that little favor. I'll chuck in Duncan Robinson. Like, he's on fire at the moment. Like, does that get the trade over the line? And that might be enough to be like, no, fair enough. I think that's where you look at the value of him as a sell high guy. And my other one, and I know we shared this one together, so we almost need to
let's
sync our voices to Jonas Valanciunas. I think Jonas Valanciunas, he's a sell high man. Yeah, get out your sound bath equipment because we're having a sound bath with Jonas Valanciunas. Just my dreams are coming true.
Yeah. Should I hashtag ASMAR on the video afterwards? Yeah, that's right. Big Val sauce. I love it.
Yeah. He's here for you. I think
he'll get you rebounds. Yeah. You like rebounds, don't you?
Rebounds, don't you? You naughty fantasy boy.
You naughty fantasy.
Yeah, you're going to get shut down. See you later, Inside Fantasy Sports. It was a good run.
We have to charge $4.95 a minute for this one. This is the preview. Check us on our only fantasy analyst page.
Yeah, we'll whisper Jonas's. Yeah, Jonas's. Oh, look at me going with the heart, Jay. Jonas Valanciunas' name. So out of the gutter, we have Jonas Valanciunas, who's a sell high. I think I'm looking at his statistics here. So this is he's played nearly 25 minutes on the season. His field goal percentage was at 547, and his free throw percentage at 826. He's always been a good free throw guy for a big boy. Threes, he doesn't really get them. He was at 10.2 rebounds, 1.8 assists, a measly 0.3 steals, and a probably fairly sad 0.7 blocks and 14 points. Whereas over his last week, he has upped his field goal percentage to 605. So he's hit 7.7 in each of his games. His free throw percentage is slightly down at 778. But the big thing I think here, looking across his line, is one, for some reason, all of a sudden he's getting blocks, which that is not a Jonas Valanciunas special. And he's also up 4 points a game. So this not going to last. Larry Nance is going to come back. I know that he doesn't play the same position clearly, but Jose Alvarado is going to come back. Trey Murphy's going to come back. Matt Ryan will come back until those guys come back. But his minutes are going to go down. The usage is going to go down. We saw last year that Jonas kind of really didn't seem to find his place on that team. When they had Zion back, it just didn't seem to work so well. So I think it is a big sell high opportunity, and I know that it's a big sell high opportunity.
Oh, really? Yep.
Off Jonas Valanciunas in more than one league, because people are clearly trying to do what I'm suggesting you go and do.
Yeah, he is absolutely just rolling along now for New Orleans, and he has had in fact, he's been on waiver wires in some, and he's gone back up in leagues. We talked about this the other day. He was starting to be dropped out at the beginning of the season. He was being streamed in. He was being streamed out. Now Big Val has been rostered in 87% of leagues. And in fact, I'm looking at his, like, he was in this one league. I've just looked at him. He was dropped and he was added back last week in this league when I look at his history on Yahoo. So he was a guy that was being brought in and dropped out, brought him in. What's his role for New Orleans? And that was it. But that does bring us to, with guys like that one, our cool guys, the guys who we think we can milk a little bit of value out of and get a trade. And I've got one of your old mates who's about to make a wonderful little cameo. Yeah, Jordan Poole.
You want to give us? Yes, mate.
This is welcome to the. His name is Jordan Poole. Yeah, jump right in. His name's Jordan, but not the 23. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Jordan Poole has been absolutely trash, and all the talk out of Washington as well. Apparently, is they're already happy to move off the Jordan Poole experiment, and he might not even be long for the Washington Wizards. This presents a wonderful opportunity because he is a droppable guy, almost. Like, the guy is just he's bad. Jordan Poole is very, very bad. And I won't say droppable because obviously where you put a pick in, you want to get something back for the guy at the end of the day. But he has been absolutely horrible. And look, I would barely trade for him in you unless I'm getting something, like giving something up. The only thing that I can think of is that I'd like to get some more points. He doesn't give me that. His field goal percentage is in the dog shit. His free throw percentage will bore you. But there's no there's a fluttering of assists, which has been nice. But I don't know, man. It's a buy low for Jordan Poole because people put in a certain level of pick to get him with the potential that he could probably be. Do you remember the early days of the NBA fantasy preseason, Malley? Hey, guess who could be the NBA's top scorer this year? Jordan Poole. Huzzah. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And it's not working out. And I think there's definitely a very real buy low window on Jordan Poole right now. For the season, he is at, where's his per season numbers? I'm looking at his per seasons. Where are we going? I've gone up here. Here we go. I've just skipped right on over him. For the season, his field goal percentage is less than sub 400. It's absolutely in the garden. It's 16 points a game, 16 and a half, not even 2 threes. He's at 1.9. That's not even 2. I don't have to round up Jordan Poole. I want him to be hitting 3 a game. Like 2.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. The steal a game is nice, and the free throw percentage is fantastic. But just that less than 400% from the field is horrible, mate. I think Jordan Poole is a real buy low window, and people should be looking to move off him as well. Like, people should be actually looking in their leagues to get rid of him, like you have been since the very first game of the season.
Yeah, and I think he scored 30 points today, and I was like, here we go. Like, this is a little bit more back to the Jordan Poole we know and love, but he got a rebound and an assist, and that was it. So you kind of, it's a bit of a swing of the pendulum. Something goes up and something goes down. But I think the buy low element
Hold it, Matty,
comes in the
Matty,
fact
that's
that,
fine. That's fine. But he took 26 field goal attempts. I would dare say if you and I could take 26 throws of an object towards another object, it could probably go in about a similar amount of percentage of time today. In fact, it was his best percentage in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. So I definitely think the 30 points might look flashy, but it's just surface. It's a 30-point game. And there's people.
I think the buy low element has to come with the fact the first word in buy low was buy. So you've got to get someone to buy him. And I think, again, like, you're going to have to paint a bit of a narrative. And I think if they can get a trade for him, and even if he's not going to go, he's not going to be, a top shooting option on any team besides Washington, but he was a strong, impressive fantasy guy last year, playing basically a 6-man role. And even if you can go back to that, like, that's where the value comes in. So with this rumination, with this conversation that's going on about the fact that he's probably not long for Washington and that they're going to try and move him off, that's probably where the buy low comes in. You're going to get him for peanuts at the moment. So throw someone crap at him, and see what you get. Get one of these guys, get your Skylar Mays out and throw him towards Jordan Poole, because Skylar Mays' run's going to end pretty soon. And even if Jordan Poole stays the same, you just drop him later. No harm done.
Mate, who's one of your guys on the buy low?
I think another kind of big name player. So because we're looking at, I've got a couple of big name guys here. Is Jaylen Brown. He's been sick. He's had an abductor strain. So his last 2 games have been really mid. He's basically gone missing. Over the season, his numbers are quite strong. 460 field goal percentage. He's at 723 for his free throw percentage. He's always been a bit sad as a guard from the free throw line. Jesus Christ! See seashells.
By the seashore.
2.7. Oh, yuckers. 2.7 threes. He's 5.1 rebounds. He's a good rebounder on a team with other good rebounders. 3.3 assists, 1.1 steals, half a block, a couple of turnovers, and 22 points. So his season statistics are quite strong. People who don't follow the news probably it's 2 poor games in a row might be enough to get some people panicking. Like, he's being looked over now. You could talk about the fact that, there was conversation, a mere season ago, whether it would be his team or Jesus Christ, I suck with names. What's power forward's name? Jason Tatum. Jesus Christ. Jason Tatum, one of the.
I was like, go on. You'll find it. You'll find it. The other guy that I'm petrified of going down at the same time, because I've paired Tatum with bloody Donovan Mitchell in some leagues. So that just
and he is living out there. He's getting some big minutes. So the fact that he's on a huge franchise in Boston. He's a name that everybody knows. You could talk about, again, he I don't even think he was day to day. So it wouldn't have been maybe potentially didn't even flash up that there was any injury or sickness going on, because he hasn't missed a game. He's played through his sickness and he's played through his abductor pain. So again, if you don't have your finger on the pulse there, it might be a good Jaylen Brown buy low opportunity.
My buy low opportunity right now is only because it's a window before he comes back, and it's the antithesis of the opposite antonym game of Duncan Robinson. One Mr. Tyler Herro. He was absolutely hot beforehand, but people sometimes undervalue people in leagues who are injured because they just want to move on that asset and they might want to make a win. Now, it's timely because he's probably game for another 5 or 6 games, so there's another week, and if you could probably silver tongue yourself and be like, you could silver tongue yourself. I did say that on this ASMR podcast. Is with his ankles.
Dictionary that, everybody.
do not open dictionary that. So I'm going to go the opposite of that, because what people seem to do in leagues is they forget the value of players when they're injured, and injuries we tie this to they can't play, they won't play, but yet they'll come back. And it was Tyler Herro who was very much living his best life as a fantasy player in Miami this year. So just look for that. Look for someone who's got Tyler Herro who might have struggled the last couple of weeks without him, who might be looking. And if you're in a good position, like if you're at the top half of your league and you're feeling pretty comfortable and you could take an L this week, cool. Tyler Herro for me is a bit of a target. And I'm actually looking at him. I'm actually talking trade with him in one person. And I'm not getting him low necessarily, but I actually know that I'm getting good value on the trade. So I would definitely be looking for Tyler Herro and also just targeting those guys who are injured currently and having a look around. Even guys like Anthony Simons in leagues, CJ McCollum is back out in 5 games. CJ McCollum was on an absolute tear this season in New Orleans. So the value of these other guys who are filling in for him, like Jordan Hawkins right now, it's now. It's not long term. So just think about long term value and look for that one. Who is your last one before we wrap up for tonight, buddy?
My last guy is OG Anunoby, a guy that I've tried to pinch off you for about 3 weeks. And I think, again, I think you hit the nail on the head before saying that it's all going to be context in your own league, because we know the value of someone like Jaylen Brown, like OG, like Tyler Herro. And if you're trying to get Tyler Herro off the guy or girl who's 3-1 up at the end of 4 weeks, it's not going to happen. They're not going to lose him. But if you're talking to the guy or girl who's 1-3 down, then you've got a bit of traction there. They're in a position. I know we're very early on, but you don't want to be so far down that you can't catch up, because you are still going to have losses as your season goes on. It's not like as soon as you get him back, it's good times ahead. But back to OG, he's missed 3 games with his ouchie finger. He played garbage in the game before he went home and cut himself. And then when he came back yesterday, when did they play? Yesterday. He played trash again, So before that, he was looking quite good. His free throws are kind of strangely down, but everything else looks good. 2.6 threes, 477 for his field goal percentage. He's still getting you that 1.3 steals, and that could likely go up. We know that he has been a league leader in steals. He's on 16 points. The turnovers are low. He's getting a couple of assists and 4 rebounds. So his statistics are quite good. They've been pulled down a little bit by his run of poor games. But, I think that's just, again, the perfect storm. He played like garbage.
100%. Perfect storm minute. Yep.
And then he came back and played garbage again. Your work is cut in half with convincing people, because it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. Like, I'm looking at it right now, and I own him in 2 leagues. And I look at the minutes, down. Points, 9, 1-3, cool. I love the next 3 things that I see, which is what he does: 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. But then you read across, there's this glaring field goal percentage number of 182 at 660 from the line. And you're like, Jesus. And then you look at the game before that, 0% from free throw. And then 800, then 250, then 0, then 500, then 0. Like, I am benching him some weeks now. I've been benching OG for Jalen Johnson in the league that I picked him up on the waiver wire. I have been literally I've benched him the last, I think, 5 games. Then again, I didn't have a choice because he was injured. But I was happily like, that's fine. I'm just going to roll Jalen Johnson out there. He's cruising. Like, the man is a cruise missile. So I'm loving that. And I've been loving you. And thank you very much, Malley, for a beautiful pickup pod. Shall we say Valanciunas and hum it together? Valanciunas. Stay tuned for more Valanciunas ASMR next week when Malley and I catch up with you for the pickup. Malley, lovely to speak to you as always. Take care, like and subscribe to our content for all your inside NBA and just normal NBA action. Basically, just generally anything to do with the NBA.
Yeah,
much love.
Basketball.
We love basketball. And we love you. Hooroo, everyone.